we are going to look at few more examples for nature and style of writing. In that, we are going to look at the examples of expository, descriptive, narrative, and persuasive style of writing. So, the first example is of expository style of writing. As we have discussed earlier, in expository style of writing, what we have to see that logical facts are given, sequences should be maintained, right? This style of writing is known as expository style of writing. So I'll read the example here so that you will clearly understand what I'm talking about. The municipal government of Happyville anonymously approved the construction 62 miles of bike trails in 2017, made possible by a new tax levy. The bike trails are expected to help the city reach its sustainability and clean air goals while reducing traffic and congestion. 18 trailheads with restrooms and picnic areas have been planned at a variety of access points. The city expects construction to be complete in April 2021. So what they have given you the facts and figures, what they are doing right now. So that's why it is known as expository style of writing. Now in descriptive style of writing, you can see the children pedal leisurely down the Happy Villa bike trail, their giggles and whoops reverberating through the warm spring air. Sweet-scented wind flowers brought an area of color to the gently undulating landscape, tempting the children to dismount now and then so they could lay down in the springy soft grass. So, as we have discussed earlier, in descriptive style of writing, the author or the writer or poet will describe each and everything. So, how he has described air, the way he has described flowers, the way he has described landscape, and each and every detail of it. That's why it is known as descriptive style of writing, right? Next style of writing, as we have discussed, persuasive is to influence or motivate someone to give your opinion, right? So the example here is bike trail is the glittering gem of Happy Village new infrastructure. It winds through 62 miles of lush landscape, dotted by clean and convenient facility. If you haven't experienced the Happy Village bike trail yet, ditch your car and head outside. Could life in Happy Village get any more idyllic? Right? So what they are telling you, you should ditch your car and you should go for Happy Village bike trail. So they are influencing you by giving you justification that why bike trail is better than car. So that's why it is persuasive style of writing, right? They are motivating you, they are influencing, they are giving their opinion to you in form of writing. So this style of writing is persuasive style of writing. Narrative style of writing, as we have discussed, a third person is telling a story. You are describing a situation, you are describing a story, you are writing in terms of third person, right? As I cycled down the trail, I heard children giggling and whooping just around the bed. I crested a small hill and coasted down the curving path until I found the source of noise. Three girls sat in the grass by a big oak tree. They were startled to see me, and I smiled kindly to put them at ease. What you doing? I asked. Nothing, they chirped in unison. So even the dialogues, it is written in dialogue form. That's why also it is known as narrative style of writing, and they are narrating a story. The third person is telling the story to you, right? So that is a narrative style of writing. So we have discussed four style of writing, right? Persuasive, expository, narrative, and descriptive. According to the theme and according to the idea how you want to describe the situation, you have to pick any style of writing, and that's how you write something, right? So either it can be persuasive, either it can be descriptive, expository, narrative, or it can be combination of all four style of writing. But you can easily identify that in each paragraph which style of writing the author has used, right? So now what we are going to do is whenever you write an essay, you are not just writing in theme form, you are not just representing in expository, descriptive, narrative, or persuasive style of writing, but you also have to give introduction to your writing and conclusion also. So how you have to write an introduction? Like in essay, first you introduced the topic. Then you go to the main theme, idea of the topic. Is it expository, narrative, descriptive, or persuasive? But first you need to introduce to what you are going to talk about, right? So first you need to give an introduction. So introduction is the most important part of written communication, right? The paragraph can be an opening statement, also called as topic sentence. So introduction paragraph can be an opening statement. Topic sentence is the main sentence of the whole paragraph, which gives you the idea of what the author is going to talk about in the whole paragraph. So, an introduction of an article, essay, or any other written communication can be a paragraph that consists of hook sentence, objective and brief description of topic, and roadmap of the article. So, it just gives, there will be a hook sentence or a topic sentence or a brief of the topic you are going to talk about in the whole article. So, a hook sentence is a sentence which introduces the topic in an interesting way. Quotation or short story, quoting or posing question that is related to the topic. So, when you are just quoting the whole story in one line, then it is known as the hook sentence, right? I'll just give you a very, very easy example of it. Mischievous boy, right? If that's the quoting I've utilized in the introduction, then it means that I'm going to talk about a mischievous boy in the whole paragraph. That's the whole idea or theme of the essay or paragraph in which I'm going to talk about a mischievous boy, right? So the objective of the communication is clarified and the brief idea about the topic is given. So only one statement can tell you that what is the whole paragraph all about. A roadmap means an idea about what all is going to be discussed in the material. An introduction can be linked to a porch of house. If the porch of the house is beautiful, then one would like to enter the house, right? Whenever you are trying to read any article, essay, or paragraph, the first thing you are going to read is introduction. If the introduction is not only proper, then how are you going to read the next paragraph? It will be boring for you. So if you make the introduction interesting, it will be very, very helpful for you, and the people will be more and more interested. So that's why it is given as an example. I've given you that the porch of the house, right? The entrance of the house should be beautiful. Oh, then and only a person would like to enter inside the house if the entrance is beautiful, right? So that's how the introduction should be beautiful. Then and only the reader will be interested in reading the whole article. So the role of introduction is very significant in making a written communication effective. As we have discussed that the paragraph will be expository, narrative, descriptive, right? These styles will be utilized, persuasive, but introduction is important. Similar way, conclusion, how you are going to end the paragraph, that is also important. So in conclusion is also a very important part of written communication. To conclusion, we can explain to readers like the ending of the whole paragraph, how the ending should be. So that is conclusion. So why it is very, very important. So the conclusion, we can explain to readers why our ideas are significant, right? Why I've written this paragraph, right? Minimum a conclusion will be summarizing the work, but often we would want to do more than just summary. So conclusion is always the summary of the paragraph. A conclusion gives an opportunity to answer a challenge that all readers raise. So what? Why does it matter to me? What actions should I take? A well written conclusion will answer this question in the mind of readers and will leave readers with a trace of our thinking. So, conclusion should be in such a way that the reader has understood the whole paragraph. The whole summary should be there in the conclusion. So, for reader, it becomes easy. And you should give your opinion also in the conclusion. So, that's why it will generate a question in the reader's mind. Yeah, it was interesting. Whatever the author has said that okay, this was a problem there and it was true, right? So it is an influencing part. A simplest conclusion is a summary, a brief restatement of the main points, but we must avoid conclusions that repeat exactly material presented elsewhere in our communication. But we must avoid conclusion that repeat exactly material presented elsewhere in our communication. So conclusion should be summary of what you have talked about, not the same thing which you have talked about in the paragraph, right? So the more empathetic conclusion built on summary is one of the several ways like call for action, raise a question, quote a familiar or authoritative source, or tell a story. So in conclusion, you can call for action. You should say that if the conclusion is about saving a girl child. So, in the conclusion, if the paragraph is about saving a girl child, then in the conclusion, you should ask for action. You should ask people not to abort a girl child, right? So, that should be a part of conclusion. You should give your opinion there. You should give what you want from the audience. Raise a question, quote a familiar or authoritative source, or tell a story, right? So you can raise a question that why people are doing that. That can also be a part of conclusion. Quote a familiar or authoritative source or tell a story, right? That can also be a part of communication. Overall, the conclusion remains what we quoted in the introduction, reinforces the objective and summarizes what you already said. So in a way, we can say that the content of the conclusion is same as the introduction, but the use of words and grammar is different. So conclusion thus helps us in leaving an impact in the mind of the reader. So you should put your impact in the reader's mind, raise a question there, right? If your paragraph is about saving a girl child, raise a question that why people are doing it, what is the reason behind it. Even though you have explained it in the paragraph, you can also ask a question to the audience that how can we reduce uh, killing of the girl child. That can be also a part of it, so that remains in the audience mind or remains in the reader mind, that why people are doing it, how we can stop it, right? So that's how you conclude something, with a question, with an action you want the audience to do. That if you see anyone aborting a girl child, one should complain. So that can be a part of the conclusion. So that's what action you want after. If a person is reading your paragraph about saving a girl child, this is what action you want, that the person should call for police if someone is doing it. So if someone is aborting a girl child, right? So that's how you conclude any paragraph. Okay. We know that how we can write introduction and how we can write conclusion, but we should also know there are different styles of writing like persuasive, narrative, expositive, and descriptive. But in the writing, we also have defining, classifying, descriptive, right? So these are also few style of writing which is added in the part of expository, narrative, descriptive, and persuasive. So as we have already discussed, descriptive style of writing, that is one style of writing in which you describe everything in detail. So if I talk to you in about engineering college, in which you are mostly uh, going to describe machines, right? So how you can describe a machine? So you can describe each and every detailed part of the machine, whatever parts are included in that machine. You can describe that physical features and functions. So if you do the detailed description of the machine, then it is known as descriptive style of writing, also known as description, right? So in exam, you may be asked to describe the laptop, describe a mobile phone. So you have to describe each and everything, that what the laptop or computer is made up of. So computer has a CPU, keyboard, LED screen or LCD screen. What is the function of the computer? What are the physical features? It has a keyboard. How many keys are there? What are the functions of it? So when you describe each and everything in detail, then it is known as description. You can also give principal, advantage, disadvantage of the machine, right? So label diagram can also be included. Then there is classifying style of writing, where you classify things, when you categorize things. So when I tell you that there are two styles of communication, verbal and non-verbal, so I've classified it, right? So that is classifying style of writing. You categorized something. So that style of writing is also there, right? When you talk about energy, then there are two types of energy: renewable energy and non-renewable energy. When you are writing in this style, then it is known as classifying style of writing. But then you get into the detail where you have narrative, descriptive, persuasive, right? So expository. So there is also a classifying style of writing. So you classify, describe, define, right? You know that defining is when you give definition. So defining style of writing is what? When you give definition to a statement, right? Uh, Suppose if I tell you that define a computer, so how will you define that? Define men. So man is a social animal. I will, if I tell you define orange, so orange is a citrus fruit, right? So definition is usually done in two steps. First, identify broadly its kind, to which category it belongs to, and second, specify the distinctive features of the object, which sets it apart from all the other things of its kind. Right? So orange is a citrus fruit. It separates it from the all the other type of fruits. Right? So definition. So in introduction, whenever you are introducing the paragraph, you also define few things so that the audience will understand uh, what product you are talking about or what you want to talk about in the continuation. So there is defining, there is description, and there is classifying. These three styles of writing are there.